It was bad from the beginning.
I'm like, it's fine. In my head, it's like, it's not fine, but I'm going to say it's fine.
And then I like went to sleep with just like this random man like sitting in the room.
I just want to be myself.
And then I literally just started crying on a park bench.
I walk in, I'm like, shit, he's in here. I guess I gotta leave now.
I do not want this man. He is a strange man who does not speak, sitting on your bed 10 feet from mine. Like, call me crazy. That's weird.
And those little things add up over time.
Literally crazy. But no, and
that was before I found out he sleepwalks.
Oh, thank God. I am not in my dorm right now because that would be torture.
It's move-in day. You're standing outside your new building, holding a box of your belongings. You've spent the summer imagining what this moment would be like. But now that it's here, it's all a mix of excitement and uncertainty. For the first time, you meet the person who'll be sleeping just 5 feet away from you for the next year. If you're lucky, maybe you've exchanged a few texts or had a brief phone call before. As you step into your dorm room, a small, simple space with just enough room for 2 people to coexist, it feels bare and unremarkable. But there's an undeniable energy in the room. There's excitement, of course. You're starting college, a new chapter in your life. But you're starting it with someone you barely know. And as reality sinks in, you can't help but wonder. This person could be anyone. A friend, a stranger, a nightmare. Welcome to You OK UVA, a student-produced podcast about mental health and wellness at the University of Virginia. I'm your host, Leena Fraihat, and in this episode, we're exploring the impact of first-year roommates, focusing on how their experiences affected their mental health and well-being. We'll hear from 2 UVA students specifically, Hannah and Mark, as they share how their roommate situations, from the stress of the matching process over the summer to the challenges of living with someone who wasn't the best fit, shape their experiences throughout the year. Where did problems start, and how did they end up the way that they did? Meet Hannah.
Hello. Hey, girl.
A bubbly third-year UVA student from Northern Virginia who missed out on having a positive living situation. She found herself paired with a roommate who, quite honestly, didn't want to be there. And just an FYI, Hannah is not her real name, and all our students will remain anonymous.
It was bad from the beginning. And I did know. Okay, starting from the beginning. I went random. I got assigned my roommate in like our little email. And so then I sent her an email like, hey, like my name. And then she didn't respond to that email for like 2 weeks. And then she finally does respond to me and she's like, hi, like, I'm so sorry to do this. Like, can you do me a huge favor? I had actually meant to room with this other girl, but we like didn't do the form. So do you mind like swapping with me?
Hannah emailed and visited UVA's office to make the switch. But by the time August rolled around, she was left scrambling with no solution given.
I popped into the housing office and I was like, can't we just make this happen? Like, it's a month before school starts. This seems like really easy switch. And they were super unhelpful. I just left that meeting like actually in tears because I was so upset because they were useless. And I was like, okay, great. Now I have to like live with this girl who does not want to live with me at all.
All this before school even starts.
And then move-in happens.
Students arrive at UVA.
And she was like perfectly sweet. Things are fine.
Classes begin.
And then I learned that she has this boyfriend. And he lives back home. She's from like less than 2 hours away. So it's super easy for him to just come on down. And he's not in school. So he'll like come and stay for like 2-3 nights at a time. He would just sit in the room, like, silent. It was so weird, I swear. But then by, like, October, it was after fall break. Like, he stayed for fall break, and then he stayed through that week. So it was, like, 5 or 6 nights that he had been there. And he was in the room, and I was like, hey, where's my roommate? Where's your girlfriend? And he was like, I don't know, like, out with friends maybe? So that was super fun. And then, yeah, no, I was, like, getting ready for bed, and then I, like, went to sleep with just, like, this random man, like, sitting in the room, and, like, my roommate was not home yet.
It seems to be common for students to share stories of their roommates as strange lovers invading their personal space, just as Hannah did. At UVA, a shared attitude seems to be, well, it just happens. It's an odd and unhealthy status quo. The university's housing department, HRL, does little to remedy it. Again, here's Hannah.
And then my RA texts me.
That is resident advisor.
She's like, hey, like, I've been seeing her boyfriend around a lot. That's not cool. Like, I'm going to talk to her about it. And then I get a text from my roommate later in the day, and she's like, did you, like, tell on me to the RA? And she just, like, totally blew up at me. She was so pissed. She was like, I just think it's such a snake move. Like, I'd asked you before, like, if it was okay if he came, and, like, you said yes, and then, like, I just don't know why you would go behind my back like this. Our RA sat us down after the fall break thing to make that roommate contract. It was just so unproductive. For, like, a month, she was on her best behavior. She would be gone more after. She had this, like, bright red light. It was one of those, like, mood lights. And she would leave and then, like, leave that on all day. And I don't know if you've ever woken up at 2 a.m. to a red light shining in your eyes, but it is the worst. It is so awful. She was never, like, the definition of considerate. It was just kind of, like, small inconveniences. Like, she doesn't understand that she's even doing anything wrong right now.
As winter settles over UVA and exam season begins, rooms have now been shared for 4 months. Students are looking forward to their classes ending and to leaving campus for about a month or so for the holiday season. It's a time of festivity, fun, and stress. Mark, a third-year computer science student from Southern Virginia, is starting to have troubles with his roommate. He describes his hometown as a place where people know how to drink. His roommate, on the other hand, not so much.
Skip ahead to 5 a.m. in the morning when I'm rocking back up to my dorm, just wanting nothing but sleep and peace and quiet. I walk in, I see a little silhouette. I have a bad feeling in my stomach, but I ignore it. And I just go right up into bed, crawl in. And then I hear a crash on the floor. And I, like, get out of my covers and I look and I see the door open and then my roommate's silhouette go outside. This is where my heart drops. He had not redressed himself after spending a night with his lady friend and then proceeded to sleepwalk out into the hallway. I definitely had the temptation to leave him, I'm not gonna lie. At this point, this was December, this was towards the end of my first semester. We had some disagreements. I definitely avoided my room when I knew he was in there just because it was like I didn't want to deal with him. It was easier to get work done in the study room. So I definitely considered leaving him in the hallway, but, you know, I went, helped him get into the bathroom, put the door crack in so we could actually get back in our room, and then just hid under the covers waiting for it to be over. And I would say that was the big jumping off point where I was just done with his shenanigans, and I would just be like,
Mark describes himself as a very anxious person, and this incident marked a significant shift in his mental health. His personal space was violated. His sleep was disrupted, and he felt uncomfortable in his own room.
And then we just didn't pretty much talk after this except important things, and just we lived completely separate lives even though we were in the same space.
Mark's introverted nature made the situation even more challenging.
I like my personal space, and I like to have my little bubble where people don't disturb me. For the most part, my whole life, that's been my bedroom, the place where I sleep. And that was kind of taken from me with this whole experience. And just because I'm a kind of person who doesn't like conflict that can be avoided, I just kind of like was like, I guess I have to be the bigger man, and I just like would leave, and then so I'd have to like actually go to the library, which for me is like, what am I, about to fail class? No, it just was in the room. So basically, I kind of just lost my little safe bubble and had to be pushed out.
For Mark, his bedroom was more than just a place to sleep. It was his sanctuary, a space where he could unwind and recharge after a long day of classes. But when that space was disrupted, it really took a toll on him. The constant presence of an inconsiderate roommate created this ongoing tension, making it tough for Mark to relax and to be himself in what should have felt like a safe haven. His story shows just how important a peaceful environment is for mental health, especially for someone like Mark, who relies on his personal space to feel grounded.
So like I would always hear like a sorry, and I'm like, it's fine. In my head, it's like, it's not fine, but I'm going to say it's fine because I don't like conflict. The way I describe it is just a massive, consistent inconvenience.
It seems it was best that both Hannah and Mark got a break for a month as the classes transitioned from fall semester to spring during the holiday season. But let's see if their living situation improved during the second half of the school year. And now it's spring semester. Roommates have been together for 6 months, and with a new year and a month-long break behind them, students return to UVA feeling rejuvenated. It's a reset, or a chance at a restart, and particularly for first years. But for Hannah, the restart she was hoping for didn't quite materialize.
What helped is that she broke up with the home boyfriend and then had a new boyfriend. She's so messy. Because there was like a solid, around Valentine's Day, there were a solid like 2 weeks where they like changed places. Like the home boyfriend came to visit with like flowers and stuff. He slept over for a few nights. He left like in the afternoon one day, and the here boyfriend slept over that night.
Valentine's Day, a holiday where you show your true love for the one. Or two, in this case. And for Hannah, she had to unwillingly witness a lot of it, especially as the year closed.
A couple weeks before school ended, I like woke up in the middle of the night, and I like heard the bed rustling, and there's only one thing that they could be doing. And this is so bad. After they like finished, I heard her say to him, "This never happened." Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. Like you just like wake up and you're like, I'm not going to move a muscle. Like I don't know what to do right now. Like
now I know what you're thinking. You're listening to the story and asking yourself, why didn't Hannah say something? Hannah made it clear to us that she didn't feel like that was an option.
The problem is she was very like saccharine, like, hey girl, like how are you doing? Like tell me everything, like blah, whatever. And so I would feel really guilty about saying like, hey, it bothers me that like he's here all the time, like whatever. Because she would be like very nice to my face and then just do like super inconsiderate things. And so it was just like very hard for me. Like I couldn't say like, hey, like that was really like rude what you did.
After the RA incident in the fall semester, when her roommate got in trouble for having her boyfriend spend the night constantly, Hannah was walking on thin ice. If her roommate was being kind to her, she didn't want to do anything that would compromise that. This ultimately led to Hannah being silenced. Imagine not being able to vocalize your discomfort in your own room when your roommate is doing inappropriate things literally 5 feet away from you. Now imagine the toll that would take on your mental health. Not only did it create a sense of powerlessness, but she was also essentially a guest in her own home, constantly avoiding conflict and suppressing her own needs to appease others only worsened her living situation, leaving her stressed over never feeling at home, never being heard, and never being able to set boundaries. Hannah was living on eggshells. It's finally May, the last month of the academic year. Mark and Hannah have had 9 months of living with their roommates. Fourth years are graduating, and underclassmen are gearing up, ready for their internships and looking forward to the end of their roommate contracts. The year of constant back and forth is over, and everyone is thinking about what's next and reflecting on the past year.
When we would like make jokes about how crazy it was, like they would say like they saw her boyfriend more than they saw her. And then I actually met the girl that I would have lived with had UVA let us do the swap. And she's like lovely, like we're the same person. We get along so well. And I'm just like, I think about how different my first year would have been if UVA was just like a little bit more flexible on that front.
But by the end of it, both Hannah and Mark learned some valuable lessons.
I think a good little thing to leave you off on is you want to live with, you might not think it, but you actually want to live with someone who's almost too similar to you. You'd think that would cause conflict because you're so similar, because it can in friendships. But when you're living together, I have found that like polar personalities just don't go together. So like the roommate I had last year, as a juxtaposition, we are basically the same person. So that might not have been great for our apartment, but it was great for our relationship. I never had a problem with living him. We always got along well. Like when there would be a couple of dishes, we'd both look at each other. I was like, neither of us want to do those, so we're not doing them today.
I don't know, in living in like the future, I think I'm pretty like conflict avoidant in general. Like that's like, I'm not like a confrontational person. But my roommate now and my roommate from last year, like I've just always really appreciated that like she's definitely helped me do this, is like she's gonna name it before it becomes an issue. So like if something that I do like bothers her, like she seems like she'll always be like, hey, why do you do this? And then I'm like, oh, because I've just always done it that way.
Mark and Hannah's experiences showed how varied the expectations and preferences can be when it comes to living with someone. Some people believe it's essential to live with someone like-minded, while others can manage differences as long as there's good communication and so on. The root of these issues is simple. Everyone is looking for something different in a roommate. What works for one person can easily become a source of frustration for another. There is no one-size-fits-all approach here. When we think about mental health and wellness in a college setting, we often jump straight to academic stress, overcommitment, or the pressure of competition. But what Mark and Hannah's stories show us is the environment where we live can be just as significant to our well-being. Poor roommate situations are often brushed off as a part of the college experience or shared as funny stories, but in reality, they can have a serious impact on mental health. A mismatch in expectations or living habits can affect more than just day-to-day comfort. Conflicts with roommates can lead to stress, anxiety, and affect academic performance. For students like Mark and Hannah, their experiences shape not just the rest of their college years, but also how they view relationships and the kind of people they want to be around. Overall, their stories show that a good living situation isn't just about convenience. It's key to overall well-being and mental health. Mark and Hannah's experiences highlight how important it is to find a living situation that supports mental well-being. A mismatch in expectations or living habits can affect more than just day-to-day comfort. It can shape one's emotional health and how they relate to others after the college years. This podcast was produced by Sophia Fadoul, Leena Fraihat, Tsega Kidanu, and Luke Heerens as a part of a collaborative project for Professor Steph Sarasso's Writing with Sound class at UVA. A full list of audio and textual sources used in the production of this podcast can be found in the transcript. Thanks for listening.